Hey guys, welcome back to Docket 360. I'm finally back. New video. First one in a while. I know I did one 2 days ago, but that was, just to say, hey, I got my connection finally fixed. But today, what we're going to do is do a video on how people fake orb videos. A few weeks back I did one with orb photos, how people fake those. The technique's pretty similar, so if you want to check that one out, I'll put a link right below here in the description so you can check that video out. And yeah, so let's get on with it. So for the first step of what I did is this orb PNG here I created that in Photoshop. I'm not really going to get into how I did that. I actually explained that in the orb photo, so check that video out. It's in there how to make it. I actually used the same orb, similar to the same orb for the video itself. So all I did was with the file, import media, where the file's saved, and I'm actually using the same video clip that I used in how to fake a ghost video, so that you guys can see that the video is the video. There's nothing different about it. It's just a different technique applied. So the same clip you can do multiple things with, pretty much. So let's get into it. So all I did was I added the orb clip on top of the photo, or the top of the video clip. Now mind you that software matters to an extent when it comes to stuff like this. So in the link below I put a link to Sony Vegas, which is pretty expensive, but if you know Amazon like I do, you can always find it cheaper on that site. So just give you a link so when you get there, you're popped up in the same software area, so you'll be able to find it if you're interested in purchasing it. And then Photoshop, I throw a link for that in there as well. Photoshop's gotten a little bit more reasonable here lately, so you can go and pick that up as well. It's down there in the description. But anyhow, beyond that, let's get into this. Like I say, I put the video clip on the second track, orb on the first track. Now the only thing that I did off camera, just because it takes a lot of time, but I'm going to show you what I did. If you go over here in the orb clip and you hit this here tool, not the pan and crop tool, this is track motion, click it in here. Now you can see the arrow here is at beginning of the clip, and then actually 2 seconds in you'll see another marker. Now basically all that is when I actually move this, it'll put a marker and it'll make my photograph animated. It'll move it across the screen. So if I play it, you'll see that the still image actually moves through this sequence of numbers. You won't see it move here, but you can see the sequence actually right here underneath all these little gray diamonds. That's actually the same thing that's in here, pretty much. And you can see as it moves across, it just animates it. And how that works is, what I did was I clicked one point in the video, moved it where I wanted it, moved ahead half a second, moved it where I wanted it, half a second, moved it where I wanted it, and you can see when I click here on the track, it moves over here. Watch, I'll click here and it moves there. That's pretty much all I did. And I did half-second intervals to keep it slower. If I did a full second interval on these motions, it would go faster. So the longer the span on the greater, the shorter time it takes to do a longer distance, the faster it is. The shorter time it takes to do a longer distance. I think I said that backwards, but you understand what I'm saying. If I would move it from here, top corner to bottom corner in 1 second, it would zoom across. But if I would move from top corner to bottom corner over 5 seconds, it would go a lot slower. Is what I'm trying to get at. The longer the time frame, the shorter it moves. So I just did 15 seconds, and I did short, tiny movements, and I did it every 15 seconds just so I control it a little bit better. Because as you can see, this is where the sporadic movement segment comes in. Very sporadic. Goes over, shoots down, and that's what I did with that so far. And now what I'm going to do with the next element is I'm going to fade it in at the beginning 2 whole seconds, and then at the end a single second. So I'm going to go 1 second on the fade out. Now if you watch the clip, it'll fade in. We'll work on how bright it looks now. It looks kind of kind of bright. Then it fades out. Now the only other thing that I did off camera was I added just a basic blur, just to blur it out. I mean, that's pretty much all I did. As you can see, it's blurred. Before it was real sharp. Here, let me show you. I'll actually get rid of that. And see how sharp it is? Right here it gets really sharp and crisp. And that's not how orbs are. So I'll go back in here and I'll add that Gaussian blur back. We'll add it in. Hit OK. And then I'll just make my adjustments for what we want it to be. Something like that's good. Okay, now what we'll do is, I'm not going to change the opacities or none of that yet, because we need to add another effect. We need to add some motion blur, so that it actually blurs as it moves, so as if it was actually being filmed there. So to do that, we'll go to View, Video Bus Track, right click in there, and we'll insert Motion Blur. Okay, and it'll give you this green or a purple bar here. We can move up and down, which is the amount of blur that we get. And then on the video track, we want to remove that. So we click this, bypass motion blur. Boom. Motion blur is no more. But we'll leave it on for our orb. What that's going to do is basically going to add like everything has natural motion blur when it moves, because your eye can't keep up with it. Same with video cameras, it can't keep up with it no matter how good of a camera you have. With some, it's better with some. That's why when you go to a standard TV to say an HD TV, it looks real crisp and sharp, and sometimes it might hurt your eyes. Or if you get a brand new pair of glasses, everything's more crisp and clear, and you're catching more things. It takes a while to get used to it. It's all relevant to what we got to do to make this orb look real. So we add the motion blur. Now we'll play it with the motion blur, and it's a little shoddy on the preview, but I'll show you the final clip. So we want to add a little bit more motion blur to that. We want it to really have, say, like a tail or something to it. Not a tail, but we want it to really blur, jolt. So we'll add a little bit more. Move about halfway until we get it to where we want it. I mean, that's not bad there. That's pretty good. Pretty good. It might be a bit much, but we'll, and I'm sorry that's a little bit skippy up there, and it's the preview window. It's a little slow with me, being that I'm recording while I'm doing this. And trying to rendering it all out, but looks pretty good. So we'll stop it. And now what we'll do is we'll go down with the opacity. We'll go down to like 15%, somewhere around there. We'll do there, 17, whatever. Now let's see it again. You won't notice the fades at all. The orb will just appear, and then it'll jolt and go away, which will add a little bit more because we want to see that a little bit better. We'll add it back up just so we can see, because we're not quite done yet. We still have the self-emitting light that we got to do. So we got sporadic movement. So now we want to do light emission. So we'll go to Event Effects, and we'll add one. And we want to do glow. Now there's a couple that work really good for this. It's completely preference. Brightness and contrast works good. Glint works really good. I mean, there's a lot of them that work, but the best one that I found is actually glow. So we'll add that one, hit OK. Change the color to white. We're dealing with a white object, so we want that to be white. And we want to check the percentage, and we want to move the percentage up, the intensity. We really don't want too much suppression. Maybe a little bit of suppression. But now we got it glowing, we're going to drop a little bit more, like so, and then we'll play it again. Now you notice the orb got a little bigger when we did that. Just perfectly alright. We can always change that later if we want to. Which is another little cool thing we can do. We can actually, we'll slide this over a little bit so it fades out a little bit better. What we'll do here is we'll go into our track motion. On this very last one, what we'll do is we'll change the size a little bit so that the whole time it's getting smaller. So that's a little something added you can do. Now watch what it does now. It'll come in nice and big, and it shrinks down a little bit until it's small before it vanishes off the screen. And we're going to drag this out a little bit more. and then drop the opacity a touch. See that? Pretty cool. Alright. Alright guys, well I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it was helpful. I know a lot of steps that I skipped, but again, this wasn't really a tutorial style video. This was pretty much just to show you how it's done. This, you know, this technique. Tutorial videos I can do, so if you guys really want to get in depth and in detail and watch every step of this process, just hit me a comment. Send me an email, docket360@gmail.com. If you would like to see something like that, I've got no issues doing that. I can do a complete, on every topic actually, the ghost videos, ghost photos, the orb photo, the orb video, all of it. If you guys want to see tutorials, step by step, really detailed, I can do that as well. It's not a problem. I'd actually be more than happy to do that. But like I say, this wasn't really a tutorial. I just wanted to show you how it was done, and right there's how it's done. So if you guys liked this, enjoyed it, please hit the subscribe button, like, comment. Don't forget, you know, share it with your friends if you liked it. What I'll do next is I'll go ahead and render this out and let you guys watch it at the right here when I'm done with my little speech. Then you guys can watch. And again, like I say, if you like it, subscribe, share it with your friends, like, comment. Send me suggestions at docket360@gmail.com, and don't forget, links to the software are down below. Check them out, and until next time guys, have a good one.